with the 19th Helen Meeker and the President's Service series book coming out very soon, we're very excited to read it. What mindset would you want people to be in whenever they start to read the book? As we had discussed in previous interviews, talking with historical fiction and writing that, you have the people who entertain and are entertained by it, and those who are entertained as well as being informed. I know that you did a very good job on this book, and I know that you've done a lot of great work with highlighting the brutality in the schools that Native Americans had to go to during that time period. What sort of mentality would you suggest people get into before they read the book so that it's informative as well as being entertaining?
It's an interesting question. If they're familiar with the series, they know that we're not going to duck away from subjects.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they know, that they're going to get some stuff that's going to be gritty in a way. They know that somewhere in there we're going to spotlight some issues they may have not thought about.
Yeah.
So they're probably prepared for it and already in that respect. But the thing that I hope happens is that they are driven to read more about the subjects that are the true subjects.
Yeah.
In several books ago, we mentioned a character named Sophie Scholl. Sophie Scholl was a real character. We mentioned the organization she headed up. She was a college student who printed propaganda against Hitler in Germany and eventually was executed because of it. The White Rose Papers were very important for inspiring people in World War II. They were so influential that the last paper that was never published, the Allies got a hold of, and it talked about the concentration camps and the extermination of Jews in Germany. And I had to include that in my book, and I had to have people know who Sophie Scholl was, because that last White Rose paper was dropped by our bombers over Germany so the German people who knew nothing about it could read about what was really going on. It helped the underground movement and probably shortened World War II by 4, 5, 6 months. Who knows how many lives that she saved. Came from a college kid.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I mean, this was a college kid in Germany who wasn't afraid to buck the system.
Yeah.
And her last words, which we talk about in the book, are amazing too, in the fact that she just wished she had had more time to do what she did.
Yeah.
Sophie Scholl, therefore, is outlined in the book. I wanted people to know about Sophie Scholl. You talk about, in this particular book, Time Walker, where we are looking at, as a peripherally, about Native schools that tried to take the children from reservations. They did take the children from reservations and tried to make them into white people.
Yeah.
Tried to erase their whole culture.
Yeah, terrible.
Gave them new names. Took everything that was sacred away from them and tried to alienate them from their lives. And then they turned around and sent them back to the same reservation.
Ridiculous.
It was one of the travesties, not just in American history. It happened in Canada too.
Yeah.
And Canada is really doing a good job facing that right now. They're admitting it.
Yeah.
They're instructing their schools about what happened. They are going back and exposing how horrible their government was doing this.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the Canadian Football League now, when they're in certain areas of the country, they have Native American, they have what they call First Nation people, or Native Americans here, but they're First Nation people that come on to the field now, and they honor those people.
Good, they deserve it.
They have their flags and their banners over their stadiums, recognizing this was once their land.
Yes.
And so what I want to do is just drive people into looking at documentaries and reading about what the natives of this country went through.
Yeah.
And I also, throughout this book series, expose Native American culture in a positive light. I talk about the fact that the missionaries came over trying to reach people with the gospel when most Native Americans were already living more like Christ than the missionaries were.
Yeah, they didn't need it.
They were sitting there taking care of the widows. They were embracing the orphans. They didn't have property.
Yeah.
They gave to each other. They they did all of the things that you hear about on the Sermon on the Mount, and yet we were treating them like they were heathens.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And so I wanted, in having this Native American character, I'm able to have her voice that. And I think that's important for history. I think it's important for a new generation to understand what other generations went through. I don't want to see that lost. I encourage African American kids all the time who are in my house to go and talk to their grandparents before their grandparents die, or their great-grandparents, because they need to know the story.
Yeah.
They need to hear the courage these people had in going through what they went through.
Yeah.
And I want to use my books to write those stories, maybe in fictional form, yes.
Yeah.
But the stuff we're writing about really happened.
Yeah.
And I want that exposed.